Center for Social Change, Wellness for Social Change, Lunch and Learn. This is a series that we have once a month, every second Tuesday of the month, and we have different people coming and speaking, let me move over here, and speaking about health and wellness. And it's a free lunch and learn. You can pass it on to your friends that we have as a way of sharing the expertise of many wellness practitioners that are changing things in the world and offering it to the community. So I'd like you to put your hands together for Hamad Shirazi, who's going to be talking about the spine. And just a few quick announcements before we start. We have a great wellness fair that's coming up on the 24th. We're going to have a number of different speakers. Jamie, do you want to say anything about it?
We are having a bunch of speakers. I'm not exactly sure who's confirmed. It will be closing with Monica Reyes is doing a Kundalini Yoga meditation at the end. There's going to be a bunch of vendors. Fusionary Formulas is going to be there, as well as a few others that I'm not quite sure of right now, but it's going to be a really fun event.
Where's it going to be?
Here.
Oh, here at the center. So I think it's going to start at 10 in the morning.
I think
10 in the morning.
10 till 3.
Till 3 o'clock.
And there's going to be there's vendors, so they're going to be there the whole time, and then breakout sessions with different speakers throughout the day.
Yeah, so if you want to get your wellness on, get healthy, there's a lot of good stuff that's going to be at this event. So let's begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so my name is Hamad Shirazi. I would like to begin by thanking Christina and the Center for Social Change for hosting me. She was talking about the topic of today's Spirit of the Spine, but my intention is for it to be a little open-ended and for all you to engage in discussion. Feel free to ask questions. We'll go over postural ergonomics, so how to create a healthy work environment. And also I'll go through a little bit of movement mechanics and exercise tips to promote better postural alignments. I'll begin by introducing myself a little bit, so you don't think I'm just somebody who came up off of the street. Go over a little bit, I'll touch base on my story a little bit and how I ended up here. I grew up in Georgia. I'm the youngest of 4. And sports, fitness was a passion from a very young age. I fell in love with the game of basketball at 8. But since then it was, how do I perform at my best? How am I going to excel on the basketball court? So I threw myself in pretty early. I had a personal trainer myself when I was 15 years old. And I was working out like a football player, doing bodybuilding, taking supplements, and I was just overtrained. So by the age of 18, I was chronically injured. I had terrible posture, and so now I live a life where I help others prevent some of those aches and pains and chronic injuries. So I went to the University of Georgia, became a certified personal trainer, did my bachelor's in exercise and sports science, moved to Miami, became a trainer at Equinox, went through their whole fitness training institute. That's a picture of the functional movement screening. There's a lot of postural adjustments. Was introduced to corrective exercise. So there's the C.H.E.K Institute. It's based out in California. It's corrective holistic exercise kinesiology. So they take a holistic approach into health and well-being and also performance. So I'm a certified holistic lifestyle nutrition exercise coach through them. At the age of 25, a few years ago, I started my own company, Southern Holistic Alchemy. It's holistic health coaching. I primarily do physical training, but I integrate the mind, body, and spirit, and I essentially meet people where they are to help them improve their quality of life and get the most out of their life. Obviously, I was introduced to the Center for Social Change through the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and these are a few other businesses that I work with. Shin Wellness is a holistic chiropractic center in North Biscayne. Quality Fitness, Full Circle Triathlon Coaching there. They're all more holistic, open-minded fitness training companies. And I'm currently doing my master's at the University of Miami in Exercise Physiology. It's a strength and conditioning fitness entrepreneurship. So that's just a little bit about me, just so you have an idea that I've been studying and providing practical application of postural assessments and helping my clients for about 3 or 4 years now. So here's a quote by Hippocrates. It says, "Disease does not occur unexpectedly. It is a result of constant violation of nature's laws. Spreading and accumulation of such violations transpire suddenly in the form of a disease, but it only seems sudden." So this is pretty much what we're going over today. We may sit our whole lives like this on a computer, then one day we have this terrible back pain in our lower back. And we go to a chiropractic office, they say that we have a herniated disc, and then we feel like this is a sudden onset of back pain. But it's something that's been accumulating since you were a baby, and since we've been sitting in chairs and having a bit of lack of awareness of how we carry ourselves and our posture. And this happens from physical elements to disease and all aspects. It's an accumulation of habits. It's not, I don't necessarily like to blame age, but it's accumulation of habits over time. Now here's an introduction to spinal anatomy, the actual physical anatomy, and I have some depictions of the energetic anatomy as well. Is anyone here familiar with chakras? Have any questions on them?
Familiar, very
Familiar. Okay, so
familiar.
if you're not familiar, the chakra system is based off ancient Hindu traditions, and their chakra actually means energy wheels. So we have 7 energy centers, beginning at our root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra. And here we have a natural spine has curves in each segment, and a lot of times this is what becomes distorted when with chair sitting and various postural abnormalities, which we'll go over a little bit. Sometimes the curves become too excessive, sometimes our curves are actually limited. And then here, this is something I took from Cindy Dale's, one of her works. She's basically tying in an emotion to every single vertebrae on the spinal column. And what I'm trying to introduce here is there's a correlation. There's the physical aspect and also the spiritual, emotional, energetic aspect that goes into our spinal cord. I consider the spine and everything attached to it to be what is known as the core, which most people just think that it's your stomach, but it's from the base of the spine all the way up to your head. It's your lifeline. Here we're going a little bit more with the chakra system, and this is the association with each chakra and our endocrine system, so the various glands in the body. So as we know, like the crown chakra, the pineal gland, that's corresponds and correlates with our intuitive nature, our sense of knowing. The thyroid gland in our throat chakra, that's associated with, that's the metabolism regulator. And then here we just have different various chakra colors and meanings.
Some chairs over there.
The pineal gland.
Pineal gland, yeah, that's associated with yeah.
One is the same, but one is the one that and the other one is straight left of consciousness. Pituitary and the pineal.
Pineal is, in my experience and knowledge, is more associated with what you just said, the supreme level of consciousness. And the pituitary also is a regular. This,
Me?
yeah.
No.
Is anyone interested in this? I just
Yeah,
do this.
yes.
Okay. So is there anything else you'd like to know? Would you like me to go through some of these? Yes, please.
Pineal gland.
Quick question, before I sit down, I saw on the other slide, I don't know if it's possible to go back, okay, yeah. It said time at around number 8. So what does that mean?
your sense and awareness with time.
Well, that's really interesting because that is where I have a back problem and I'm always late. So
So I
with
love
my back.
yeah, well I love that you bring that up. I'm very I can be very practical, but I'm also very out there. So whenever I meet with my clients, I in my head create a lot of sense of correlation between their emotional aspects and the way that they carry themselves. And a lot of times they say, studies show that body language and like communication is 85% nonverbal. So for me, I work with people on a physical basis every day, so the way they carry themselves opens up a lot of perception for me to see how they are in their lives and how they view themselves and how they view the world. But thanks for bringing that up. Yes.
Transmutation. Number 11.
Transmutation. Okay. Not sure exactly what she means. I'm not an expert in energetic anatomy. I have a general baseline knowledge.
Number 9 is Kundalini.
Kundalini. There you go.
So, can you elaborate a little bit on what that
Kundalini
was?
yoga.
Yeah, I was surprised by that because I thought it would be lower down.
Well, this is just her interpretation. I just use this as an example. My main intention with this was just to draw the parallels between the energetic and the functional anatomy. I haven't delved deep into her philosophy. And the way I look at things too is, there's so much out there as far as science research and other people's experiences. I really always promote people to, educate yourself, align yourself with your own experiences. At the end of the day, belief is one of the most powerful emotions. So if we can convince ourselves that divinity is number 14, or so a lot of these are just tools and ideas for us to kind of broaden our knowledge base. Anybody else have any questions on this? Think it's cool? It's cool. Okay. Is everyone familiar, or would you like me to give you a baseline of each chakra? Yeah. Okay, yes. So the chakra, like I said, they're energetic wheels, and they're starting down at the bottom of your sacrum, where your spinal cord originates, and they spiral. Each one spirals counter to the one below it or above it, and it goes all the way to the crown chakra, which is generally depicted as right above your head. And that's associated with enlightenment and spiritual consciousness. The third eye chakra, which is also associated with the pituitary gland and is in this region, is dealing with your intuition and understanding. So a lot of people say that's your sixth sense and your intuitive knowledge, those gut feelings that you get. Okay, the throat chakra, it's associated with the thyroid gland. That's associated with the color blue, and it's in your throat. It's dealing with communication and self-expression. So a lot of times, like, what's your name? Valerie. Well, Valerie stated how she feels something there. She's always late. A lot of times you can draw parallels between this. It's like if someone has a hard time really speaking, expressing themselves, they may have some people, and like Reiki practitioners, they may find that you're a little blocked, and that wheel isn't spinning as efficiently as it could be.
What emotion was that one?
It's communication. Actually, part of it, I chose my business colors to be blue and green. The blue is more, communication and healing and expression and coaching, and then green, like the next one, the heart chakra, it's love and connection. So, and then the next level down, the solar plexus, this is your energy center where digestion is regulated. This is dealing with energy, vitality, will, power, desire, personal authority. And that's classified as our energy center. And then we move down to the beginning of our pelvis, and that's the sacral chakra. This is relationships, emotions, sexuality, self-gratification. This is also where we cultivate a lot of our creative energy. And the root chakra at the base of the spine, this is feelings of safety, security, and being grounded, survival. A lot of times our financial security and making sure that we have food, we have home, we have shelter, we're all all good with that. Any questions? Yes, sir.
The third eye.
Yes.
The guy wrote a book, Lump Sum Ramp Up, about the third eye. Did he get this idea, the third eye, Lump Sum Ramp Up, from this?
Who?
Lump Sum Ramp Up.
I'm not sure who that is.
The guy wrote a book years ago. Maybe before
Well,
you were born.
there's so many books. There's so many people who study this, and I've seen there's a lot of correlation, but then a lot of people have different interpretations.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And the third eye, I mean, I think it actually dates back to practices in Egyptian times when they had a strong awareness of the third eye. But it also relates to how the pineal gland basically is affected by light and by the sun and how we
Right.
Yeah. Melatonin. Our health and well-being is primarily associated with the circadian cycle and the cycle and rhythms of the sun. We all have our own cycle, just like females that go through. Everything is rhythmic, and that's what I'm going to be touching base on with the breathing.
Rhythm is
Rhythm.
vibration. And
Rhythm, yeah, vibration, movement, and how it all. But what you were mentioning about the pineal gland, I'm going to be touching on that later, because the pineal, the thyroid, the pituitary gland, there's a lot, and I'm going to give tips. What happens, and a lot of people who feel like nowadays in society they've lost a little touch with their intuitive nature, and they're having a tough time being more decisive about what they should do. It starts in our water systems and the calcification in our tissues, the calcification of our pineal gland that distorts the level of function, and the water is a big thing, and decalcification in the body to really get our bodies,
stems from unhealthy eating, calcification.
water. We're 70 to 80% water. I would say water is at the highest priority, then your nutrition, the circadian rhythm. They all have their place, and I'm going to touch base on that later. Okay. We're all good with this?
Yes.
Okay. This, so I mentioned earlier, the C.H.E.K Institute is where I've studied out in California. I love this. This is the C.H.E.K totem pole. This is a basis of healing, or say, does anyone here have any ache or pains that they're dealing with right now?
Oh yeah, me.
Okay.
Knee problems.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I've been playing tennis from
So-
my work like this,
Yeah.
and I still don't give it up.
Okay. No, that's good.
Pain in
But,
my knee, but I'm not gonna give it up, man.
okay.
I'll play my wheelchair if I have to.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm good. I intend on being the same way. I have a big passion for sports. So let's say you came to me, and you came to me with your knee pain.
Yeah.
If you look at, and on this totem pole, there's a totem pole for survival and healing. Your knee would be down at the very bottom, your slave joints.
Yeah.
So this is a regulated, so at the top, you have your spirit and soul. Without your spirit and soul, you don't have the conscious awareness, you wouldn't be alive right now. So that's number one, that's at the top of the totem pole. Respiration. If you don't breathe for a few minutes, if oxygen doesn't come to the tissues, you're gone.
You're done, yeah.
Yeah. Mastication, your ability to eat, to nourish yourself. That's next. Then your visual sensory. Then you move down to your auditory, your ability to hear. And I'm going to keep going down, but as you can see, this is all survival based. So our bodies have intuitive wisdom where they're going to protect our ability to survive, to procreate, to do the things most necessary. So most people in the fitness, I'm in the fitness and health industry, people want to come and they want to, lose 5 pounds, but they're not breathing properly. And it all, as above, so below. So this is like prioritizing. I've even had clients with a deviated septum, and we would do so many things, but their inability to breathe properly is going to affect their head carriage, is going to affect their body. There's a whole mechanism. So I really love this example. The next, from auditory, we're going to move down to the upper cervical spine. So up in our cervical spine, that's what dictates our central nervous system. And next to that is our organs. So same thing. If we have lack of circulation to our organs, or our heart isn't functioning properly, it's going to be pretty hard for you to perform at the level that you want to perform at. And you go down limbic and emotional. So this is pretty interesting. The emotional, we consider it a floater. because it can move anywhere
Right.
above or below, because if you're, say, extremely upset and you're depressed, you take your life. So you go above the spirit and soul, because your emotions dictate your actions. So that's a floater. That can go anywhere above or below. Next is digestion. This is one of the places I definitely meet with people about, because a healthier gut directly correlates to your ability to breathe properly, ability to function properly, nutrient uptake into your cells to be able to work out if that's what your goal is. The pelvic girdle, and then at the very bottom, slave joints. So if I have the time and I'm working with someone, we literally go through the totem pole, because we could be working on a knee issue for 5 years and never have any success, and maybe we find out that you have something in your ear or something in your nasal cavity or inability to digest your foods, and that's what the issue is. So I like to go more to the cause of what may be showing up as a symptom. Any questions about this? Does it make sense?
I would imagine if any of those is a little bit off, it throws off everything.
Yes,
So
exactly.
finely tune, integrate the system.
Yeah. Well, this is your survival mechanism. So no matter what our ego and our mind tries to do, we have our autonomic nervous system is regulating. So many things are going on right now. My
Yeah,
heart is beating,
yeah.
I'm breathing, I'm
Yeah.
doing all this, and I'm trying to present. So a lot of people really take some of these things for granted. And this directly correlates to, this is all in the spinal nervous system too, as well as what we're discussing. Any question on this? No. Okay. So now we'll get more into the importance of posture. A few definitions. The posture is the position of a person, when standing or sitting, and it's also the position from which movement begins. An example of this is, say I'm doing a bicep curl in the gym, but I'm beginning in this posture. My muscles are already shortened. So it's very important. So if you're exercising, a lot of people, you run, you may be like this.
Yeah.
You're squatting, you're like this. Posture is extremely important. What I tell most of my clients, anyone I work with, the two most important things is making sure that you're breathing deep diaphragmatically and you have good posture. Because if you regulate those, no matter what type of movement you're doing, you're going to benefit from it. Because you're going to increase circulation, you're going to increase the rhythm in your body. And then I'll go through ideal posture. Is the state of muscular and skeletal balance, which protects the supporting structures of the body against injury or progressive deformity. The progressive deformity is what most of us do when we're sitting down, working, late at night, doing all sorts of things, and maybe all these things. A lot of us stand with a hip tilt. Ladies, if you're wearing a purse, all these things, they accumulate over time. So my intention today is, we also don't want to stress and overthink these things, but we want to have a level of awareness and do what we can to prevent it. And so here's just a few different examples. This would be ideal posture. Kyphosis lordosis, that's excessive rounded shoulders and excessive tilt in the pelvis. When there's sway back, there's flat back. I actually, this is funny, you can barely see this, but last week I'm in a course at it's elite conditioning. We did a plumb line assessment. You can't really see the plumb line, but it's running down, and it's supposed to match up. You do an interior view, a lateral view, and a posterior view. This is a way to assess your posture. I can do a lot of it just eyeballing it, but you want to assess and be a little bit more clear on it. Can anyone see the plumb line? Or the line? The plumb line is just a little string that's hanging down, but
But I think
Yeah.
barely.
barely, okay, because I wanted to ask you guys, I have thick skin, but if you guys can point out things that are, anything wrong with the picture and my posture, I can't
No,
really.
you gotta turn off the light out, man. Turn off the light.
Can anyone point out, well, how do you guys think my posture looks?
Straight.
It's a couple years of work, I still got a long way to go, but yeah, you can't really see the plumb line. The only thing with mine, what's matching up, I do have a little bit of it's minor, but an excessive
tilt.
anterior tilt. And I'm going to go through how we correct these things. And then the only other thing that really stands out is the plumb line, my ear, the plumb line's running about right down here. It should be in the center of my ear. So I have a little bit of a forward head. It's not like extremely high priority, but I am working on it. Some things with forward head carriage. Every inch that your head is forward, you're adding about 10% more compression onto the spine. So every inch that your head is forward, every inch is basically around 10 pounds of compressive forces. It also stretches the spinal cord.
Yeah, that's stretching the spine. Is it good?
What? No, not good. It's so funny. You remind me. So my mom and dad, and I joke with them. I always tell my dad, fix his posture, because he's like this, and he'll always joke, and he'll do this.
Hey, my the problem that sometimes I fall asleep on my couch watching TV, then I wake up the next morning and this thing don't work.
Yeah. It's blood flow, circulation. Your body will function optimally in the optimum position.
Yeah,
If you're like this, everything changes.
yeah.
The way we carry ourselves, holds a lot of importance. And also with forward head carriage, there's so many contributing factors, but the studies show that with forward head posture, you get reduced input into the lungs by like about 30%. So your respiration changes as well. In dentistry, I was actually pre-dentist. And what I've learned so much is how dentistry, and when they grind through and they may change your bite, that will affect your head carriage as well. So not to like scare you about things, but there's a lot that I've seen and experienced that we have no idea, because it's hard to find this type of information. You kind of have to go through and really seek it out. Okay, so
Well, do you think that is like, because I'm just thinking about my sister. My sister used to have an overbite.
Yeah.
And so she got it corrected, and they shifted her jaw and pushed it back and all kinds of stuff. And I think that it actually changed her personality a little bit. And so I wonder if you think that all this dental correction of like making your teeth look perfect and all this stuff actually affects other parts of our personality, our health, all of that stuff.
100%. Everything is related. So within myself, I'm a holistic system of systems, and then with you all you being here is a part of me as well. Everything's interrelated. That's my perception. So especially in anything dealing with external factors coming into the body, as far as like metal in your mouth, these things. I have clients who are getting dental work done correcting a lot of this, because if you have metal in your mouth, it leaches toxicity into your body. So that's another aspect of what we were talking about on the totem pole, is that if I'm trying to help someone, she had she was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I had her checked by a lot of my wellness professionals. Her thyroid is functioning fine. It's more of a hormonal imbalance. So I'm not against, my father's a cardiologist, my sister's a cardiologist. I'm not against Western medicine at all, but it's just about practical application, being mindful, and seeking out, what's necessary, not being so dependent on others. So even though I'm a coach and I help people, I really try to instill in them that be your own master. Become a master of yourself. Don't let anyone else tell you about yourself, because we're all unique and have our own unique experiences. But to answer your question, yeah, I think for sure, an overbite, and if that's corrected, it'll change her physiology, and your mind and body and it's all intricately woven together, so it's all gonna play a role.
We all grew up when mother said, sit up straight, shoulders back.
Yeah.
It works.
Something like that can stay with you forever.
Yeah.
So even an experience like today, say if I just like tripped over, fell flat on my face, that could change my life forever. So there's so much that goes into our biological makeup. I just want to give an example. This is more getting into what I do on a daily basis. So Uppercross Syndrome, there's stages to it, but it's essentially what we're talking a lot about today, and how we sit like this. So what happens over time, is you have the over facilitation of your upper traps and levator scapula. So how many people in here probably hold tension in their neck?
Yes.
Okay, yes, exactly. And you have also facilitated, and you see it's a cross pattern. So now that's on the back, and on the front you have tight pecs, pec major, pec minor, and tight sternocleidomastoid muscle in your neck. So this all pulls you forward. And then, so this is a joke we always say about guys. Now what do? We go into the weight room, we do bench press, we do bicep curls. And so people choose exercises that actually are aggravating the postural issues that you already have. So what I would, and with what I just mentioned, so we have inhibited deep cervical flexors and lower traps and serratus and our postural and our rhomboids, the muscles that actually hold us and hold our scapula in place. So what happens with the uppercross, hope I'm not getting too technical, but our scapula actually starts to wing out, it loses its structure. For me, I'm doing my master in strength and conditioning, working with athletes, the prime effectors of movement and performance is your scapula, the rhythm in your scapula, how it forms, and your pelvis. The same thing, people tear their rotator cuffs all the time. They have shoulder pain. I don't care about the shoulder. If I correct the scapula, all their aches and pains go away.
Seriously?
Yeah, same thing with pelvis. See, someone has hip impingement, because I've overcome hip impingement. I had a surgery. I have my own story. I've had to heal pretty much every joint in my body. I'm still in the process, but with more and more experience, I realize how simple it actually is. You just want to get to the root cause of what's.
So,
Wait, where is the scapula again?
So the scapula, her scapula, it's the wings.
The wings,
Your
okay.
wings.
Yeah, it's basically the human wings,
Okay.
the scapula. So if we correct so a lot of times with athletes, they keep tearing their rotator cuff, pitchers. And we've had
and
things
tennis
where,
players too.
same thing. So
Yeah.
there's Tommy John surgery, one of the most common surgeries for professional baseball players. We had a player who, he had a dysfunction in his big toe, a lack of range of motion. And they couldn't figure out how he kept tearing his rotator cuff. It was coming from his big toe.
Are you serious?
Everything's connected.
Yeah.
And there's a big rise in consciousness, awareness, mindfulness. But I'm in the exercise industry, and there's not many people who are carrying that over. Everything that you do in the gym or the weight room or exercise is teaching your body how to move. So if I go and I destroyed myself, it's not like I'm speaking from some high ground. I've made all the mistakes. Like going into the gym and bench pressing like crazy when I'm already like this, it's a little mindless. I still do things that may not be the best for me, but I have awareness, and that's my own decision. So that's Uppercross Syndrome. So how we would correct that is we would do a lot of rowing and pulling movements, strengthen the muscles in between the scapula. So we don't have to walk around like this all day. That's pretty weird. So what I do is I help people actually do it. You train, like I said, I'm bringing up these things. I don't want to stress anyone out, because it can be very stressful. When I first learned this up, I went overdrive. I was like, oh my God, I'm so jacked up. I gotta correct everything. So now, over time, I've realized, just be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, but make sure that you're doing something to prevent aches and pains and to facilitate better posture, because it actually correlates with the function of your brain and everything.
So let me sure I get this right. For the shoulder thing, right? It's the wing, the rowing in the gym is better than bench press or all that other stuff.
Yeah, I don't like hard and fast rules. Everything I would want to be individualized to you, but based off what I see from you and generally in our population, we're gonna want to be doing more pulling. But another aspect is a lot of people, when you pull, you'll pull like this. You really have to learn how to move effectively. So it's not what you do, it's how you do things. And big time in exercise. Any questions on Uppercross?
Well, I just have a quick question. So, I commute my bicycle, and I had a guy who, actually, Sean, who does massages, who said that if your body is really in one motion, a lot of the times, you kind of get stuck there, and I sit at a computer a lot. So, my neck is my shoulders and everything carry so much stuff, and I'm wondering how can I counter the fact that my neck it tends to be, I'm like this,
Yeah.
but like I'm like this a lot, and kind of leaning forward, so how do I?
Well, basically what I was just saying, where I would begin, and I'm gonna need to move on, but what I was saying, so if you're tight, and yeah, if I work with triathletes, and they're on the bike, and they're around it like this all the time, so I'm always working on, so we would want to, you could stretch, you can continue to get massages, you can do that till the cows come home, it'll help with the symptoms, but it's not going to create lasting change.
Right.
The most effective way, in my opinion, is to really get these muscles strong, and so this isn't unnatural for you. This becomes how you actually sit. And okay, so you feel, and not to call you out, but you feel like the tone in this muscle?
If there's not much
Yes,
muscle.
and but you feel this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
It's like
tone, there's
straight,
muscle tone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're creatures of habit, so whatever you do the most of is what you're gonna become.
Okay.
So, yeah, and maybe.
So would there be exercises like paddle boarding, or you said pulling, like what?
Okay, so basically, once you teach your body how to move, you can do whatever you want. But there's a way of how you do things, and I meet people all different, and even professional athletes, and they don't have access to these muscles because over time you teach your brain how to move, and I can go for months and somebody doesn't know how to activate in between. So like if you're doing a bent over row exercise, a lot of people would go into this because this is what you're already used to. But there's a shift when you row like this, and you start to use the middle of your back. So that's why I do what I do, is because a lot of times we need a coach. I mean, I'm a coach when it comes to wellness and strength and conditioning, but I want a coach for everything. I want someone to teach me how to do everything that I'm not really sure of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to keep get going so we get through everything. That's Uppercross Syndrome, very similar, and they're both extremely common. Lower cross syndrome, like I said, this is where your pelvis is anteriorly rotated, so you have inhibited abdominals and inhibited glutes. So, and as you can see, my abs are getting stretched, so they're losing tone. And then what's overactive? My rectus spinae, my lower back muscles, and I have tight and overactive hip flexors. We sit in a hip flex position all day long, so those muscles are tonic and they become overly stabilized. So what we do to correct that is we really strengthen the core. And I'm gonna go into that because people do crunches, people do all these things, and that's not what the core is really about. So weak abs and glutes. So what I do pretty much across the board with most people, I have 4 major things, and if I can correct them in someone, 80% of their issues generally go away. They perform better than they ever have. Strengthen the glutes and the hip extensors, strengthen the core, get them to breathe properly, and strengthen the mid and upper back. And teach them how to push and pull properly. If I can teach someone to do those things, you're going to be a different person. Hands down. Yeah, no, I swear, when I work with someone and they come to me like this, and then when they're postured, the way they talk, the way they carry themselves, their self-confidence changes completely. So even though I meet someone on a physical level, I see the changes go, way beyond the physical. Okay, so talking about breathing in the core, put in a little meme in there. It's funny because it's true. Like, people want to go take a CrossFit class. They want to go on this extreme diet. They want to do all this stuff, but they don't want to master the basics. If you look at the most elite athletes in their history, your breath. So you can go do all sorts of stuff, and most people who are doing cardiovascular exercise are not even getting the respiratory component because they're not breathing.
Yeah, I see some of those people in the gym and holding the breath. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna kill yourself.
You have to breathe.
Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like I said, if you manage your posture and then learn how to breathe effectively, it doesn't really matter what you do. And also, you're going to be mindful in your body. So if I hold my breath, I may squat, weird. But if I breathe, I have to maintain a neutral posture, and it's going to guide me into my breath. So I can tell someone all day, sit back into your heels, squat, squat, squat. But if I just teach them how to breathe into their diaphragm, they correct their form on their own. And I really appreciate more intuitive aspects of working out too. Like not in front of a mirror. So I'm a big fan of yoga and going inward. You work in, so you work out. Most people nowadays, and with our posture, we don't have the ability to work out. We don't have the energy reserves. That's why we got to go take like 3 cups of espresso to work out because we're tired. Just to touch base on this, most people when they think of working the core, they're working the muscles that look good, the rectus, the abs, the 6-pack muscles, the external obliques. That's not what the core is. You have the inner unit of the core. There's the diaphragm. That's a primary breathing muscle. That's what goes down when you inhale. And you have the transverse abdominis. That's your corset muscle. So inhale, diaphragm expands. Exhale, belly draws in. That's your weight belt. So you see all these power lifters lifting all this weight with a weight belt on.
Yeah.
That's doing the job. They shouldn't be lifting that weight because they're not doing it with integrity because you should naturally be able to draw in. I work. I didn't talk about. I worked with a company called Fit for Birth, pre and postnatal and pregnant women, and do diastasis rehabilitation and working on the core. So this is like breathing comes first when it comes to exercise. And then you have this bottom is the pelvic floor. So you have your pelvic floor, the diaphragm, the TVA, and then deep spinal multifidus fibers in the back. They all work on the same neurological loop. So meaning if you contract your pelvic floor, which most women know about because they hear about Kegels, that's what helps to keep the belly drawn in. But that's also, and this would be
Is
for...
there a version for men?
Oh, for
Well,
sure.
what
Men
about
have
men
Kegels.
do too.
Yeah,
I
we
do
gotta
it
work
all
on
the
our
time.
pelvic floor. Okay, so this is for a different topic. Yeah, everything that I do, it's to help perform you in life, reproduction, sexuality, all that, because it all goes hand in hand. But this is a topic for a different day. Every muscle has its own set of fibers, and you don't want to just do your Kegels all the time. You don't want to overtrain anything. Everything needs to be balanced and in moderation. So most people, if you just, when you work out, so if I have a female client or a male client, I cue them to activate their pelvic floor. And then they get, because the pelvic floor is actually, they're type 2 fibers, so they're skeletal. They need to be stronger. They're not tonic. You don't want your pelvic floor to be on all the time. But if you facilitate and cue some of these things as you work out, you'll train it sufficiently.
What does tonic mean? I'm sorry.
Tonic is more of a stabilizer muscle. So the let's say your transverse abdominis would be more tonic. Or no. Let me give you a better example. Tonic is your rotator cuff. It's more the stabilizer. Okay. And then your deltoids and your biceps, something that you actually use for the throwing muscle, that's more like the fast twitch, and they're the prime movers.
Okay.
So tonic is more like on all the time. Tonic, and that's where like muscle tone, people want a lot of tone, but you don't want to be on all the time.
Wait, so tonic is on all the time? And
A tonic means, yeah, it's holding
Okay.
tone. Yeah, it's more of a stabilizer, which it needs to be on all the time. So the pelvic floor, it's something that doesn't necessarily need to be on
It's
all
not
the time.
tonic. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
So that's the inner unit versus the outer unit. So in order for you to get those 6-pack muscles efficiently, you want to work the inside out. Just like this building wouldn't be able to hold itself up if it had a beautiful external surface, but the foundation was terrible. So a lot of the principles of architecture and all that need to be carried over into our body. I'm going to quickly go through this. So this was taken, the check-in said they just emailed me this PDF. Some tips for the keyboard height. A general rule is 90 degrees. So when you're sitting, you basically, and I mean, there's no point in reading all that, but you see how it's like 90-degree angles. So it's not too much stress. And you definitely want your feet to be flat on the floor.
Meaning your thighs are straight.
Yeah, thighs are 90 degrees. That's summing up. And a Swiss ball is fantastic. And they have Swiss balls.
As I'm lounging in like 170 degrees.
Did you guys take your pictures?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so, and this is what I was just mentioning. You want your feet to be flat. You don't want your toes dangling, things like this in the workplace. The desk height also, you want it 90 degrees whether you're basically writing or typing. Got it? Some of these things are simple, but it's good because it may inspire.
What about carpal tunnel?
Oh yeah, okay. That's what we got up next. It'll be coming up. So video display unit. This like breaks it down.
Number 4 seems brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. You want and like they talk about the C.H.E.K Institute is extremely like they break everything down to science. So as far as postural assessments, I've been coached like we have ergonometers and we measure joint angles for like the posture and the head carriage and all that. But yeah, basically you want your eyes eye level and you want it basically in between the wall, like at a perfect level. And then also this is you want a stand. So instead of going down and up, or looking different places, you want to make sure that the material that you're reading, because if you do this all day, like it's hard. That's at 10 pounds, and it'll turn into 30 pounds in a little while.
It's kind of off topic, kind of not, but do you think that staring at the computer screen all the time is affecting a part of our brain or a pineal gland or anything like that?
Yeah, and I'm gonna get into as far as blue lights and as far as working late too and how that affects our pineal gland with its circadian rhythm. Yeah, because we're not exposed to enough of the sunlight. We're getting blue light from these artificial lights. It throws our whole cycle off. If we can correct our circadian rhythm, forget even your nutrition. I would probably put circadian rhythm above your nutrition. But if you're sleeping properly and your sleep-wake cycles are fine, you can get away with, your body will detox a lot of junk. And that's just an opinion I have, but for sure. And I'm gonna try to touch base on that. So lumbar support, you want it in the round of your back if you have a lumbar support, not too high up, not too low, because it'll change the angles of the spine. Same thing, you don't want to have a slouch position. And what I was going over earlier, the stronger you have, the stronger core you have, the easier it is to maintain this. But you just do your best for now. And maybe if we want to set something up, I can do like a workshop where I actually help people, but we would have to do it in a place where it's more exercise friendly. But we could do something like that. Because you would want to seek out a health professional or a fitness professional that understands ergonomics and postural mechanics.
On number 6, the ideal one is A?
Ideal one is A with the check mark.
Okay.
And so this is something pretty cool. I actually don't have this, but it's a similar concept of sitting on a Swiss ball. You have a little bit of unstable surface, so it forces your pelvis to move, and it forces you to engage your core a little bit more. Keyboard is what we're talking about, carpal tunnel. So chronic exposure pressure on the side of the wrist. So they actually promote that you get a pad for your wrist, so your wrist stays neutral, so it's not always like this. Because a lot of times what happens is you get, and I actually have some of this too, tight forearms, bicep tendonitis, and all these things carry over. And if you want, I can send you the links. They actually, like all these products and things they have here, you can find out. Okay. And then, book stands. You see how, like, reading like this isn't great, but reading up. And these aspects, even though we don't realize it, play a major role, because when your body's in an uncomfortable position, your cognitive abilities and your focus is going to drop. Because the circulation won't be there, and then that all goes to
Especially
your
in the
brain.
case of the kids, they don't want to continue reading.
Yeah.
They don't want to read.
It's so
exactly.
true, because I was just saying so she was telling me she wanted to have a book, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, how do people like read that long? Like I start getting uncomfortable, my body is, but I think, and I like to read in bed, so, but I think if I had like something that was really like easy for me to read, I'd probably read a whole lot longer.
So that's why we're taking a holistic approach. So there's these things, but also I'm still like, I have the awareness of a lot of these things, but I still live life. I don't over stress, but I do the best that we can. So that's what I'm just hoping that you draw some inspiration. Also using a headset, that over time, if you're answering a lot of phone calls, And especially with phones, you probably don't want that exposure, that EMF. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go through, these are some general tips. Surviving and thriving modern day. What I base most of my programs, whether it be exercise, is on the foundational aspects of health, which is hydration, your nutrition, your breath, your thoughts, that's thoughts, emotions, your spirituality, movement, and sleep. So I'm going to show some things that I was talking about earlier with the calcification in our pineal gland. Pristine Hydro, this is a water company that I've researched quite a bit. I have a water filtration system from them. I've visited them now in Malibu, California. They have an 11-step filtration system. It's fantastic. I've noticed a difference in my cognitive abilities and just my hydration in general. I don't even have to drink as much water. And then that's their electrolyte balance product. I'll just give you an example. I have a client, she's 57 years old. She had arthritis and arthritic nodules in her hands. It hurt for her to do this. Within 2 months of her drinking the water and taking the magnesium, it's gone. So, and that's just one example. Because what the magnesium and its electrolyte balance, we have, and because our water systems and then we eat foods that aren't so great, our body becomes a filter. So a lot of times people want to lose fat and lose weight, but really our body's holding on to fat because it's stressed. There's a high level of toxicity and a high level of calcium deposits in our muscles. If you guys ever foam roll, so that's all I depicted here as far as part of the healing aspect is getting deep tissue massage, foam rolling, breaking down some of those adhesions externally, and the clean water and electrolytes help you break it down internally. And then obviously healthy eating, go for organic, high quality, living foods. I just put in like people, the community aspect, the social aspect, emotional aspect is big time. That's just a picture of healthier ergonomics. You sit on a Swiss ball chair. Gratitude. I mean, that's the place I try to live my life out of. The higher energetic places keep your healthy mind, healthy body. This is more a representation of just meditation, being connected in nature, staying grounded, being in line with the circadian rhythm. And that's what I have up here. So F.Lux. It's an app you can install on your phone and your laptop. What it does, and I do mine sunrise to sunset, it takes out the blue lights. So you have amber lighting, because the blue lights stimulate cortisol in our body. So it's basically like tricking our bodies to stay awake late at night when really we don't want exposure to that blue light. And we got here, light is what, a couple hundred years old? People have been around for a long time, and they just went with the natural rhythms of the sun and the moon. And moonlight actually, you can sleep with moonlight. Moonlight doesn't affect our ability to sleep. And then I actually have blue blocker glasses. I wear them sometimes. You may think I'm crazy, but it helps. So like if you're watching TV, I watch movies, I do all that stuff. If it's a weeknight and I want to go to bed, if I wear those after the sun goes down, I'll have more of a natural sleep cycle. I sleep better.
Which one do you use? I tried a whole bunch and it was funky.
What?
My eyes, the glasses.
Yeah, I think I use those. I don't know. I just purchased some from Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't always use them, but yeah, I try to. But those are just some wellness strategies. If any of you guys want more information, I have cards. I work with a lot of wellness professionals. I actually have been hosting a lot of events lately because I really want to raise awareness, and a lot of this can be overwhelming all at once, but you try to make it a practical application little by little. And obviously movement matters. This is one of the biggest, this is where I meet a lot of people. How are we on time? How is everybody?
We're gonna have to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it really quick. Okay, so I have images of yoga, Tai Chi, so that's like working in, working out, running, sports, proper weightlifting. So you get the balance of work in versus work out. You don't always want to, run your body down. The way I form most of my programs are the 7 primal movement patterns. So there's squatting, there's lunging, there's bending, there's twisting, pushing, and pulling. All that we do is a combination of those movements. So that's how I structure my exercise programs. sitting on a chair doing bench press, I would never have my client necessarily doing something like that because it negates the core. So most exercises I have are engaging the entire body. Almost everything that I do involves the middle. And I train, depending on where my client is, getting them to do Olympic weightlifting and performing better with sports, they have to be able to be very grounded on both feet and have a strong middle. And then I take all these into account too. So you want the 7 primal movement patterns, and you want a combination of working on endurance, strength, speed, power, agility, flexibility, coordination, and balance. Your exercise program, you should try to address all this in the last next one. And that's it.
The app F.Lux, they have a different one for Android, it's called Twilight.
Okay. I
But-
haven't had fun, so.
Yeah, so if anybody has Android, the
Okay.
Twilight one works.
Awesome, thank you for sharing that.
And on F.Lux, you can lower the red light balance even further if you go in the settings. The
Yeah.
default is still kind of blue after a while.
Yeah, I make mine like all the way red. So I hope this was helpful, or you guys, if you were able to take one thing from this presentation, then I'll be happy I did my job.
How about this one thing?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and
Yeah, can I have one too?
yeah, no, and
Pass them along.
They,
Jim over there, everybody.
I am pretty busy, but I'll try my best. You know, I do this
We
because
need
I'm
to-
very passionate.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
my story in life, you know, it led me to becoming and learning about all these things because I would go to doctors, physical therapists, trainers, and most people just didn't have an
Please
understanding.
fill out your forms before you leave.
And I'll fill it out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.